Welcome to Spoken Reviews, home of the Spoken Reviews. Today, guys, we'll be reviewing the Toshiba satellite S-55C. Okay, guys, we're going to start off this review by looking at the build and the design of this Toshiba satellite S-55C. So, first of all, even though this is plastic, it feels pretty sturdy. It gives you the look of like a brushed aluminum. And I'm pretty impressed with the design. Toshiba has some of the best designs, in my opinion, for Windows PCs, and I think that this is a really great design on this satellite. Now, on the left side, you can see you have the power port, which is right here. You have an Ethernet port, which is great, especially for like uploading things online, and if you want to play games, it's really great. Wi-Fi works good, but you can never beat an actual Ethernet port. As you can see, you have a USB 3.0 port on this side, and then you have the beloved DVD drive, which is great. A lot of new computers aren't including this anymore, but this one does have it, so that is really great to have. Turning to the other side, we have another HDMI port right here. You have two USB 3.0 ports, headphone jack, and slot for the SD card. So really good as far as ports go. Now, I've been using this computer for the last 2 weeks, and I've been really impressed with how sturdy it feels. As you guys can see, when I press down, there's very minimum flex on that. And also, a big thing for me is whenever the screen hinge doesn't move. So as you can see, it moves a little bit when you push against it, but there's very minimum movement on the screen unless you want it to move. And to me, that's something that speaks to the overall quality of the build of the machine. Now, guys, this Toshiba satellite is really spec'd out really well. And since it does have the older 5th generation i7 processor, you can get a really good deal on this computer now. And from what I've seen, the differences between the 5th generation and 6th generation are minimum for kind of like mid-tier computers. Now, when you get into the super high-tier gaming laptops, you'll see a bigger difference. But as far as something like this, if you were to go from a 5th generation i7 to a 6th generation, the biggest difference will be battery consumption. So you're going to save a lot of money with getting the older 5th gen one. And you won't really see a huge jump in performance with the 6th gen. So I would definitely recommend, you guys going out there and looking for these older 5th gen processors. Now, specifically, this one has the 5th gen i7 processor that has a CPU speed of 2.4 gigahertz and 12 gigs of RAM, which is really impressive. And that RAM is built in where you can upgrade it. There are 2 separate RAM slots, and right now it has 2 6 gig cards in there. But if you wanted to in the future upgrade to 16 gigs, you can definitely do that pretty easily and for a pretty good price. You can probably find 16 gigs of RAM on Amazon for anywhere from 60 to 90 bucks, depending on the brand you want to get. Okay, guys, now I'm a huge fan of Windows 10. I really think Microsoft has hit on the nail with this iteration of its operating system. It's great, and this Toshiba satellite runs Windows 10 excellent. And I think it really has to do with that 12 gigs of RAM. Honestly, anything over 8 gigs is great, but the extra RAM that this computer does have really lets Windows 10 run seamlessly on it. Really enjoyed it. Now, specifically, this Toshiba does come with some bloatware installed, and you can uninstall it. Some is useful, some isn't useful. One thing that I really don't like is McAfee. It's a really large antivirus software, and it can really bog down your computer. So I would definitely uninstall that. You also have Dropbox installed, Wild Tangent, eBay, Mozilla, which is pretty good, and Groupon, all pre-installed, which are things that, are hit or miss. Now, one huge pro for this computer that it does come with Power Director already installed for free, which is a great value. It's probably one of the best video editing softwares for Windows. And you do get that for free. So, pros and cons as far as the software. goes, but as far as Windows 10, excellent, excellent, excellent use of the laptop Windows 10. I think Toshiba really hit it on the nail with this. Now, guys, this is a high def screen, and Toshiba calls it a HD True Bright HD screen. So it's a pretty good screen. The resolution that they have on this is going to be 1366 by 768, and it is a 15.6 inch monitor. So you're going to get about 100 pixels per inch, which is pretty good. Now, my one problem with this in a lot of computers is I do think that we're in the age where we're spoiled with, tablets and smartphones that have really high dense screens. So even though this is it's really great and it is high def, it doesn't seem as bright. And just kind of for comparison, here's my Samsung Tab S2, which has Samsung Super AMOLED display. And they're both good screens, but you guys can see that the Samsung is just way brighter. And that's just a problem that I have with computers these days. The technology is out there, and if you're going to be spending, large amounts of money for a computer, I do think that the screen should be brighter. And when I go to Best Buy, I go to any computer store, Fry's, I look around, and all the computers, the screens all kind of seem kind of dark. And I think it's because, one, my cell phone that I use is a Samsung Note 4, which has a Super AMOLED display, super bright. The tablet I use is the Samsung Tab S2, and I also use an iPad Air 2. Again, great display. So when I, spend, $700, $1,000, even $2,000 on a PC, I expect the same, level of brightness on the screen, and I don't really see that. Anyways, I just hope that in the future that, we can get, these types of Super AMOLED displays on laptops. And it's not a, specific gripe at Toshiba, because pretty much most Windows PCs and also, Macs have the same issue where I'm like, hey, why is my, $500 tablet have a better screen than that? Anyways, guys, that's just my little tangent on the screen. It is a really good screen. It's just not as bright as I would like it. And this is with the brightness turned all the way up. So I do think that there's room for improvement on that. But compared to the competition out there, this does hold its own. Okay, guys, as a web browser, the Toshiba does great. It's really smooth with the trackpad scrolling, as you guys can see. No problems with that. You can do pinch to zoom, make it bigger, make it smaller. The one thing that I will say is that the clickpad is really loud. So let's kind of go down here so you guys can see. So I don't know, it's really loud, and I don't know. I'm still trying to, get my opinion on this. It feels solid, but just kind of the sound is a little off to me. But that's just that. I really like the keyboard, but the clickpad kind of throws me off a little bit. So like I mentioned earlier, websites, load great. Here's Best Buy, home theater, everything, loads great. And as far as watching videos, here's Netflix. Here's the Fluffy movie.
That's why I love that dude, and in turn, sometimes I gotta check Martin. Yeah. Believe me, you guys, it goes.
So the speakers are pretty good. They're not the best, but they're pretty solid for the price. And as far as watching Netflix and movies, this is a great laptop to do that on. It is an i7, so it's pretty powerful. So I wouldn't necessarily, spend this money if you're just gonna watch Netflix and YouTube on it. But it's something you can do on this pretty easily. I mean, you can use this for media consumption really great. And like I mentioned earlier, I did gripe about the screen, but it's pretty good. I'll let this play for a little bit. I'm gonna turn the volume down. I'll let this play in the background. Yeah, it's pretty good. I've watched a couple movies on this over the last 2 weeks of testing, and I haven't had any problems with it. And I really do enjoy that feature. I do wish the screen was brighter still, but it's the job done. Okay, guys, so this next segment is going to be on the benchmarks on the Toshiba satellite S-55C. The disclaimer is benchmarks aren't everything, but they do allow for a good basis of comparison between computers and different platforms. So they don't necessarily mean everything, but they are great for comparison. So this is the 32-bit version of Geekbench. It's the free version. And you guys can see it did really good for the single core. So the single core, 2934. And for the multi-core, 6040, which is really high. Again, this does have the 5th generation i7 processor in it. So this is kind of what's to be expected. Also has 12 gigs of RAM. So really impressed with the scores. It could have been a little better. But for the price, and since it's it's an older PC, I mean, it's an older processor, it did really good. So I was really impressed with it. I think this is more than enough to handle daily tasks and also some light video editing. You can definitely edit videos on this with no problem. Okay, guys, just finished the Heaven benchmark test, and you guys can see it averaged 17.1 frames per second. The score was 431. The minimum frames per second were 9.7, and the max were 30.8. This is not bad for an integrated graphics card. As you guys can see, it has the HD 5500 graphics card. So what this means to you guys is it's not a gaming PC at all, but it can handle light games like Minecraft, things like that. You can play on this, and you probably can do decent on actual video editing. Like I said, it does come with Power Director for free, or you guys can use Windows Movie Maker, which is a very simple video editing software, but still really popular because it's free. So once again, decent scores on the Heaven benchmark test. Not a gaming PC by any means, but it's really good for the price. And that has to do with the fact that you do have this 5th generation i7 processor in it and 12 gigs of RAM. Okay, just finished the PC benchmark, which is a free benchmark test you can find in the Windows Store. And really impressed. This is a 100 terabyte hard drive. It's not solid state, and it's done pretty good. So for the write speed, we're looking at 100.51, and for the read speed, 106, which is pretty fast for a standard hard drive. So good job Toshiba Satellite S-55C on this. If you did want faster, you can always upgrade to a solid state hard drive, and you can find those on Amazon anywhere from $80 all the way up to $500, depending on how much capacity and how fast you want it. But out the box for a standard hard drive, really impressive. In conclusion, guys, the Toshiba Satellite S-55C is an excellent Windows PC. This computer is built very well, and the specs on it will last the test of time. And what I mean by that specifically is that this 5th generation i7 is a very strong processor, and even though there's a 6th gen out now, and next year there'll be a 7th gen, and the next year there'll be an 8th gen after that, the way this processor is built, it's going to last the test of time. So yes, there'll be faster processors and more energy efficient processors, but if you do get this one, I would look for anywhere from 3 to 4 years of usage out of this Toshiba. And if you really take care of your equipment, you probably can go a little longer than that. Now with 12 gigs of RAM, that's more than enough. So again, can stand the test of time. The battery life is pretty great. I was getting anywhere from 5 to 6 hours of battery, depending on the brightness and what I was doing. So web browsing, longer battery life, editing video, listening to music, watching, things like that, less battery. But overall, really good battery life. Back to the RAM, it is 12 gigs, but you can upgrade it to 16 gigs in the future if you want to. I don't think you'd need to, because 12 gigs is more than enough. And it really does allow Windows 10 to shine. Really impressed. And another thing that I want to point out again is the build quality is pretty solid with this Toshiba. The flex is minimum. It's a sturdy laptop. Nice and sturdy. Even though it is plastic, it gives you the look of brushed aluminum metal, which is nice. But they're able to save money on that. And I do think that it can last the test of time as long as you take care of it. Anyways, I'm actually really impressed with this for the price. Like I said, under $700. Really impressed with this computer. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Don't be shy, guys. Hit the thumbs up. No, I'm just playing. If you have any questions, leave them below. If you have any comments, leave them below. And if you want to see more great video reviews like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and have a great day.